let me introduce our President and CEO, the incomparable Jamie Studley.
Thank you. I love small world stories, as everybody who knows me realizes. So I have a story for you. 40 years ago, one of the very first cases of the new public advocates was to hold up construction of this very Yerba Buena Center until they won assurances that 4,000 poor and largely elderly residents who would be displaced would be decently housed. They locked horns with HUD and Justin Herman of the Redevelopment Authority. Long before he was a plaza, he was the Redevelopment Authority head. Those guys from Public Advocates and Judge Weigel were subjected to intense criticism for standing in the way of progress, including called up before the bar, calls constantly from the high society and business people of San Francisco. And tonight, we party in the now treasured part of our cityscape. That circle is very characteristic of the way we're feeling about 40 years tonight. In our first years, we also brought Serrano v. Priest, one of the very first education funding equity cases in America. It's the ancestor, the direct ancestor of our current constitutional fight for good schools for all kids, and also of the concept of private attorneys general. For anybody who doesn't know what that is, trust me, it's a big deal. It means that lawyers like us and others who fight the good fight can, when they succeed in representing the public interest, can be rewarded for that work. That's the kind of novel, bold, and yes, we admit it, stubborn work that is deep in our DNA. As we wanted to prepare for this anniversary, we pulled out our family albums, as you can see, and our tattered clippings. We are stuck afresh. I'm going to give everybody who knows those people a chance to find some of them. We were struck afresh by how the past is indeed prologue. Our dreams and priorities today mirror the values and the bold legal vision evident at our founding. It's like realizing that the next generation has the family nose, even though the outfits and the hairstyles have changed somewhat. This celebration tonight and all year long is a chance to tell you how we are advancing our dual mission, our mission of achieving tangible legal victories while strengthening community voices. And we get to dress up, which PA loves to do. First, let me take you back briefly to 1971. A Datsun sports car cost about $1,800. So did a year's tuition at the Harvard Law School. Movies were $1.50. Ed Sullivan left the air and All in the Family began, and soft contact lenses, CAT scans, and the first microprocessor were introduced. In short, everything was changing, and it was changing for the better. In every endeavor, we were challenging old assumptions and seeing new ways. It was a time of immense optimism. If we could just gather great people, stage a big enough march, we could change the world. I came of political age then, lobbying to preserve New York State's liberal abortion law, marching for women's rights, and mobilizing with Bella Abzug and Ron Dellums, and perhaps you, or your parents, to end the Vietnam War. The founding of Public Advocates, alongside a half-dozen other public interest law firms and with Ford Foundation funding, was in the spirit of that moment. We stand now on the shoulders of Bob Gnezda, Tony Klein, and Sid Walensky. One of their very first hires, Bill Hastie, son of the esteemed federal judge, sends his good wishes to all of us tonight. He described our founders this way: 3 precociously bright Yale law grads who were determined to break free of the strictures and prohibitions of the Legal Services Corporation. Simply put, they wanted to launch unfettered legal attacks on the institutions that were creating, abetting, or tolerating poverty, racism, or economic servitude. Strong voices taking on cutting-edge issues against formidable odds. So let's return now to Yerba Buena. In those early days, impact litigation was a new thing, and we wielded it to protect neighborhood residents. Today, we use additional tools to assure that low-income people share in the benefits of urban development. For example, we're providing legal expertise for new smart growth strategies to a community alliance that's shaping plans for the Concord Naval Weapons Station, the single largest developable property in the Bay Area. And we're guiding a broad collaborative campaign of transit, health, housing, and jobs groups called 6 Big Wins for Social Equity, with a special focus on implementation without displacement. Sound familiar? Same goal as Yerba Buena, new tools, plus the added energy of California's path-breaking climate justice laws. So looking again at that family album, I am struck by the ambition and scope of our crusades across 4 decades. Universal health coverage and the infant formula campaign, tackling redlining, the digital divide, and employment discrimination in banks and San Francisco's police and fire departments, changing discriminatory IQ, teacher, and bar exam testing. That record of prescience and fearlessness gives us the confidence that today's hard work will also generate a high rate of return on our investment and on yours. Over the years, one thing has changed. Issues have become more complex, and specialized legal organizations have multiplied. So we focus now on core civil rights issues affecting the daily lives of low-income people and communities: education, housing, transit, and climate justice, as you've heard, so we can develop comprehensive, long-term strategies and build really deep alliances. And how we work is as important to us as what we work on. In everything we do, our mission is to side with community partners so their voices are audible and become even stronger. That devotion to collaboration is vivid in our education work. We're at the helm of a national coalition to assure that teachers for low-income and disabled children are both well-prepared and effective. In California, we have alliances with dozens of grassroots, education, policy, and faith groups representing more than 500,000 people. And together we confront inadequate and inequitable state funding that starves low-income kids. And yes, we still sue when it's necessary. Today, those grassroots partners are still our lead plaintiffs, pressing California to meet the constitutional obligation to provide all children with a real opportunity to learn. That same marriage of collaboration and legal savvy defines our transit justice work as well. You know that we forced BART to meet its civil rights duty to consider community benefits and burdens of the Oakland Airport connector greater than what divides us. Determination to keep hacking at the stubborn roots of poverty and discrimination. John Affeldt recently said that at Public Advocates, we fortunately have a very high tolerance for delayed gratification, which takes us full circle. Add to the optimism and confidence of 40 years ago, the experience and endurance, the battle scars that we've earned since. Our founders were right. A band of intrepid lawyers and fellow change agents, a march big enough and supporters loyal enough, and we can change the world. Together we have. Together we will. Thank you. It's my honor now to invite up Public Advocates' very first action heroes. I could only do this alphabetically. Bob Gnezda, Tony Klein, and Sid Walensky. And with them, Lois Salisbury, who joined soon after as a third-year law student and stayed almost 20 years. Would you please come on up?